I now want to cover a little bit more detail on the describe method, which returns several aggregations at once for every column. So this is a nice method to get a whole bunch of summary statistics all at once. Right, so it keeps the orientation the same. You should know what object is returned. This is a data frame. So you can assign it to a variable and use it just like any other data frame. So here are the aggregations over here. Count, remember, is the number of non-missing values, not the length of the data frame. So that's how describe works on a numeric data frame. Now, what is interesting is that, let's take a look at the full data set. So if you happen to call describe on the entire data set, you'll notice something interesting. It just ignores these string columns by default. So this is a little bizarre behavior. But maybe it makes sense because they don't have a mean, a standard, or a standard deviation. So they can't even compute those summary statistics. So what you can do, actually, Pandas allows you to do something is when you call describe, if you press Shift Tab Tab, you'll see this include or exclude. You can include certain data types. You can just say, I only want to do string columns. So you just put the name and you get a different output because strings are summarized differently. They don't have a mean or really a standard deviation and median. So what they do here is, what Pandas does here, it still does count. It tells you the number of unique values. That's very nice to know. It tells you the most frequent value, and then it tells you the frequency of that one. So this particular organization group appears more than 12,000 times. So you can do that in order to get a different description for those string columns. Well, one other thing I want to show you is that there is a T attribute for data frames. This transposes it. So a transpose is simply where the columns become the rows and the rows become the columns. If you do dot uppercase T, this is not a method. It will transpose it. So this actually makes sense when you have a data frame with many columns. You can imagine you have, like maybe 50 columns. So instead of running out of room horizontally on the page, I think it's a little bit easier to read it like this. So you can transpose the result and get a little different view. I kind of like it using it with the describe method when there's a lot of columns in your data frame. Okay, so that's a little bit more information on the describe method.